Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Numbers, where we dive into the fascinating world of data and explore how it shapes the decisions that impact our daily lives. I am Omolola Astrop, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this journey today. In our last video, we explored the basics of questionnaire design and looked at some popular tools for creating surveys, including Google Forms, Survey CTO, DHIS2, SurveyMonkey, and Kobotoolbox. We even deployed a customer satisfaction survey using Google Forms. Today, we are taking things a step further as I demonstrate how to create a needs assessment questionnaire using Kobotoolbox. But before we jump into the practical steps, let's take a moment to understand why needs assessment and why Kobotoolbox is being used as a tool for this purpose. A needs assessment is simply a systematic process used to identify and analyze the needs, the gaps, or challenges faced by a group of people, organization, or community. The goal is to gather data that informs decision-making, program design, and resource allocation to address those needs effectively. It thus provides, it makes us to understand what is lacking, what is affected or who is affected, then what should be prioritized. Needs assessments engage people directly, and this empowers them to contribute to solutions that will impact their lives. It also provides a baseline for monitoring and evaluating progress. If we know the starting point, we can therefore measure the success of our efforts later on. Then, why are we using Kobotoolbox? Kobotoolbox is a free open source platform which is specifically designed for data collection in humanitarian, research, and development contexts. It is trusted by global organizations, including the United Nations and various NGOs, to conduct everything from surveys to monitoring and evaluation. Kobotoolbox works both offline and online. This means you can collect data in areas with poor or no internet and synchronize it to the cloud later on. It's incredibly user-friendly. Even if you're new to data collection, the drag and drop form builder makes it easy to create professional surveys. And it offers advanced features like capturing the GPS coordinates, using multimedia inputs like photos or audio, and applying skip logic to create smarter forms. In just a moment, I'll show you how to set up Kobotoolbox and design a needs assessment questionnaire. Just hold on and grab a cup of coffee as we move on. Welcome back. So now we are going to go through the process of creating a Kobotoolbox account, signing up for Kobotoolbox, and designing the form on Kobotoolbox, deploying it, and testing the form. So here you come to your search and you search for Kobotoolbox. There we are. Then you click on sign up and it brings you here. So just click on this, create account, and it brings you to this interface where you put in your full name, your username, your email address, the country, your sector, and all. Then you click on create account. So when you create account, it sends a link to your email, and through that link, you're going to activate your account. And afterwards, you can log in into your account. Because I already have an account, I will just log in now. And it brings me here. So on my own dashboard, I only have one form because I had already worked on a form before. Now we want to create a new form. So if you click on this, this will show all the projects you have. So you see some other people's dashboard, people that have been using it before. You can have so many forms that you have worked on. You have some in your archive. That means the ones you worked on before and you are done with the data collection and you want to go into another thing entirely, just archive that particular form and you move to another one. If you are designing a form, you are yet to deploy it, it will put it in drafts. So now what we're going to do is create a new form. Coming to this place, you see you have built from scratch, which we are going to use now. And you can also design your questionnaire in Excel, provided you have a big project you want to work on and you have up to like 250 variables, or maybe you have lots of skips and lots of things to put into it, then you can use your Excel to design the form, and you now import it into Kobotoolbox. There are also some templates on Kobotoolbox which you can use as well. In this particular context, let's build from the scratch. Like I said in my last video, that it's always advisable to have your form, your questions already outlined in a document so that you won't have to be thinking of what to put in your questionnaire. You already have what you want to do, and it's well laid out. So let me go to the question that I already designed. So yeah, so it's a needs assessment questionnaire. I can just be copying from here, copy, insert beyond the numbers, needs assessment. Okay, description, I just want to give it this. Thank you for participating in this needs assessment. The purpose of this survey is to identify the needs and priorities of individuals and communities to provide targeted support. Your responses will be kept confidential and used only for the program planning and improvements. So then the sector, I can say it's an economic and social development. I can call it humanitarian. It depends on whatever I want to call it. So you have a lot of things there, options there. Then I'll say Nigeria. Yeah. Then create project. There we are. So from here, you can see that the form is currently empty because we do not have any question here yet. So what we're going to do now is add question. So you click on this plus, then you start. So you can just copy whatever you have. Then add question. Yes, this is where you do your validation, and for this particular question, we have different options, age groups. So I want them to pick just one of the age groups. They can't pick multiple age groups, so select one. Assuming they have the option of picking more than one options, then we are going to pick select many. If you want them to type their answers, we pick text, and your answers, you want it to be in text alone without numbers. You pick text, or if you want numbers to be there, you can pick 1, 2, 3. Then if the dates, if they are going to make use of geo coordinates, which we're going to use in this particular one, you would see it. So if you want them to import pictures, if you want them to import audios, videos, all these options you can use in Kobotoolbox. So here we're saying select 18 to 24, 24 to 35, 25 to 34. And it goes on like that. So after putting in the options, I want to set some validation rules. I want the question to be answered. They cannot go ahead without answering this question. So it's a compulsory question. So I say mandatory response, yes. For this particular question, I said, how many people live in your household? I want them to put in the numbers themselves. So I come to add question, and instead of saying select one, I'll put number. So, and I'm going to set it as mandatory. So I can say numbers from 1 . So it's mandatory. Looking at this particular question, which says, what are the biggest challenges your household is currently facing? Select all that apply. It is assumed that some of these people may have more than one challenge they are facing. So I'm giving them the option of selecting more than one option. So we have select many. Then I'll put the options here. Food insecurity, lack of clean water. This question is talking about the type of support and assistance they would find most helpful. And I'm telling them to just type in their responses in their own words. We're not giving them options here. So in this particular one, I'll put text and also set it as mandatory. So if it is none, they'll type none. So this particular question, we're talking to them to capture their location. We want them to capture their geo coordinates. So I'll click on points. And I've also asked them to turn the location on their devices as well. So point. This question, I'm going to make it optional because for security reasons, some people may decide not to give you their location, or probably their devices cannot capture location. So would make that optional. If they can, they should. If they cannot, it's okay. Now that we have all our questions on the form, we can now save the form. Successfully updated. Then would come here, return to list. So you find your form here. But it has not yet been deployed, so we have to deploy it. We'll come here, open it, then we say collect data. But before we do that, we can see the other things. So as they submit the forms, you'll be seeing your submission data here, and you'll be seeing how many people have submitted, and you see a kind of summary of the variables that have been captured. Also remember that while I was designing the form, I was making most of these questions compulsory, because I do not want missing data. I do not want missing variables or missing values in my data set. So that is why you have to make sure that your data validation is key and you do it well while you're designing your form. So here we do this, collect data, and I'll click on deploy. Form deployed. Now, for me to be able to share it with my intended respondents, I have to look out for some things. Allow submissions to this form without a username and password. If I do not put this on, even if I share the link, the people would need to request for password for them to access the form. So I'll open this. Then I'll copy the link to the form and share it probably on Facebook page, WhatsApp, to your intended respondents. You can send it to them and they'll be able to fill the form and submit. When they capture the form offline, they can submit online whenever they have internet. So it is regardless of whether you have the internet at the point of collection or not, data will still be collected and you can submit into the server. So that's what I've copied. I can place it on my browser now so we can see what we have done. And here is the form. So we have, what is your age? I'll pick this. I'll say I'm a male. I live in a urban. My primary occupation, I would say teacher. How many people live in my household? When I was designing the form, I said numbers from 1. That means I want them to enter numbers from 1. I don't want anyone to give me 0 or -1 as the number of people living in their household. So here I'll put 3. Then do I have reliable access to drinking water? I can say no. Access to, okay, this is a mistake. That means I've repeated 2 questions. So those are the things you have to look out for when you are testing your form as well. This is a wrong answer. Do you have reliable access to drinking water? I wanted to ask food here. So I'll just say rarely. Do you have access to adequate healthcare services when needed? No. Do children in your household have access to education? No. Do you feel safe in your community? I can say no, or I can even put another option and say slightly, or I can say prefer not to say. Then what are the biggest challenges? This gives room for multiple answers. So we can say food insecurity, lack of clean water, poor healthcare access, and unemployment. What type of assistance would be mostly needed? So I can say funding for business, then scholarship for children. Then here, this is where I want to capture the coordinates. Then if I click on this, it's going to capture my my current location. So, and that's it. And after that, you submit. Because I made this optional, it's still going to submit whether I fill it or not. So let's click on submit. And that's it. So now that you have seen how to create your account, design your form, deploy it, and work on it, then I would share the link to this particular form. I'll share it under the video, and I would like everyone to try their hands on the form. Let's see how many submissions we're going to have. You can share it as well. Let as many people as we have fill in the form. Then we are going to go into analyzing the data. You see what you're going to have on your dashboard in the next video. You're going to see how it's being analyzed and how you can actually generate your report from Kobotoolbox dashboard. Please kindly share this video, kindly comment on it. I want to get your feedback. I want to know what you want me to do next. I also want you to subscribe to my channel, please. I need more subscription, and I want you to communicate with me. Whatever you think I should do better, please let me know. Thank you for joining, and see you next time. Bye.